Hey, Brian here from RV with Tito, and today I want to show you how we run cables and wires from the roof of our RV down into the RV and into places that it needs to go. I'll share some tips and ideas that get you thinking. I want to focus on what we've got going on here on our motorhome because we've gotten a lot of questions recently on this topic. So the first thing I would suggest is before you start putting holes in anything is to start just spending some time poking around your RV, trying to trace existing cable runs. There's going to be wires running all over your RV. Try to figure out where they go and how they get there, because you will be better off if you try to reuse and follow those same paths, because chances are if you need to go through a bulkhead or something like that, there's already going to be a way to do that. But also start with the destination, where are you running it to, and then start to work your way back from there. Now the third thing is to look for existing holes and access points in your roof. You might have a plumbing vent that you could run a cable down through the side of a vent pipe. Those typically go all the way down through the wall into the basement area. So that's a good way to do it. You'll have to just kind of figure out how to get your cables in next to that pipe and then seal it back up. You may already have antennas and other things coming up through the roof that have existing cable glands and access points already built in to your roof. And finally, in our case, we've got a refrigerator here that has a vent that vents out through the roof, and that's typically going to be a good spot also, because you can find a way to get your cables in there and then find those areas and those cavities around your refrigerator and figure out how to get those cables from the roof down into that space. And that's what we've done on ours, with our solar, with our antennas, and now recently with this air conditioner, which has a thicker, I think it's number 6 gauge pair of cables that need to go here from the roof all the way down to near our batteries. Now I do like to use a lot of these project boxes. They're waterproof. It's a good place to put all your connections. In this case, this is a combiner box for my solar. Now this has been here for the last few years, and you can see as we get in here, it's all nice and clean and dry, so it seals up pretty nicely, and we've been in some pretty gnarly situations. There's a little rubber seal inside the lid here, which keeps it nice and weatherproof. Kind of seals up against this little lip here on the box. So you can see the solar inputs come in on this side from the front 2 panels, and they come in from the back, from the rear 2 panels, and go into here, and then the outputs go down either side. And I have just 1-inch flexible conduit that goes in and connects to the refrigerator vent. I like having this set up. I've used it many times. Now we've got something similar going on here on the air conditioner connection. I'll show you that, but we've got our conduit coming in. Again, this is waterproof, and it actually rained last night, so you can see perfectly dry inside. Now here's our 2 connections for the air conditioner. This is a 12-volt DC connection. Power comes in from here from my battery. It has these 2 they're like little fuses, but this is where it connects to the main harness. And from here we've got the flexible conduit again that runs down next to the refrigerator and to the batteries where the power is. So yeah, plenty of room in here for other things, but it keeps this connection nice and dry, out of the weather, and yeah, I don't have to worry about any issues with that. And I got plenty of room here if I want to run additional cable and reuse different parts of this box for other things. Now to actually mount these boxes, I don't have them screwed in or bolted down to the roof or anything like that. I just have some double-sided Eternabond kind of outlining the bottom of the box here, and then I can just press it down after I clean the surface really well, and it's really solid. It's not going anywhere, and you know, the conduit keeps it in place, so it's really not going to have any issues. But I've been using that type of setup for many years, and I've never had an issue with it. And so both of these boxes are on here pretty good, and you can even remove them without any trouble just by, you know, heating it up a little bit and just pry it up. There's a T-track mounted here on the roof. You can see that it's not screwed into the roof. It's just got some Eternabond, double-sided Eternabond adhesive holding it down with a little Sikaflex, I think, on the sides. But it's very solid, and it's a great place to mount clamps and other things. I can even mount these boxes to it. I use these two tracks here to mount my my Starlink antenna when it's up here, and I also have a Wi-Fi signal booster antenna that goes up here too. Here's my Starlink antenna connection and my coax for my signal booster. I need to get a new one of these. This one's old and it's worn out. Now, to get these pieces of conduit attached to this lid, I had to drill some holes using a stepped hole bit, and that allowed me to connect it directly to this opening. And yeah, it's a little tight here towards the top, and you'll notice when I put the lid back too that I added some little cutouts around these things so it just seats nicely. But yeah, I got my solar coming in this side, and I just made this little wire cover because the other one got kind of tore up when we have to get in there, so just made this temporarily. Now you got to get all the little screws that are fastening it down, and I can take it off and get in here just like that, so I can access this stuff. So I got my solar coming in here, and this is the red side. And it goes down in and goes through a hole in the wall that I made, and it's on this side. There it is. Yeah, it goes through this area here, through that crack. There's two holes that I drilled in there. Now, this side here we've got the cell phone booster antenna, and that actually goes through that side, goes all the way to the front of the RV inside that cabinet where the booster is. Now if we head on down, I'll show you where all of this ends up. Let's go. All right, well, I've done enough work on this RV to feel confident about a few things. So underneath the kitchen here is where all of the electrical is. So my battery bank, where I install the battery bank and the inverter, and all of that cabling is in a compartment right below here. But all of that electrical cabling runs behind the cabinets here. So I know if I need to get to that point from the roof or from anywhere else actually in the RV, that I need to get to this spot here. And here's our refrigerator, and if I want to go out the front here, I can come out through here, and then there's no real enclosed area to run that cable to the front except through these cabinets. So that's kind of a pain in the butt. To get down below, what I do is I go to this side of the fridge, which, if you remember, the vent is right above, and I drilled those holes to the right, and that comes out on this side behind this pantry thing. And there's a gap behind that wall, and it heads all the way down to the bottom and underneath the refrigerator, which is where I can access the cables that get fished through that spot there. I know if I remove this pantry here, then I can get direct access to that spot, but I don't like to remove it. The couple times that I did remove it, it was really a pain in the butt to get back in, and actually broke some of the slides the first time, so that was a real hassle. So I try to avoid totally removing this pantry at all costs. Okay, here are those cables right there that are coming down from above. From there, I can get to here. If I remove this drawer, I have more access to this area here, which is actually where I hooked up the air conditioner power source down here. Okay, this area here actually has a positive and a negative battery connection that goes to this bus. And the reason for that is that right here is where my original converter charger was installed. I don't need it anymore, it's removed. But I left these two connections here because I thought I would use it. And so right now I have the air conditioner hooked up to it. And here I got a positive going to this circuit breaker over here. And then the negative is connected to this negative bus, which you can see everything is grounded to that thing. All of my circuits, all the lights, everything. So it's a good place to add the negative connection for that power source. And then from here, there's a hole that's kind of hard to see right here that goes down into the compartment where my solar and battery stuff is. So I'll show you where that hooks up. Let's take a look in here. Here is that access hole. So all of the solar stuff comes out this point here and goes to my solar panel circuit breakers. So this is my front breakers, and this one's for the rear. So that's where all my solar goes. I got a solar disconnect up here, and the batteries and everything are behind. And yeah, all the other stuff is over here. My inverter's actually behind this spot here. You can kind of see it. I remove this panel that's velcroed here. Yeah, so my multi-plus is here, and the bus bars and stuff are all right here. So with the exception of my Serbo GX and my main battery disconnect here, everything is pretty much hidden from view. Just got a couple things stacked here, a little table thing and this thing for cleaning our shoes. And I also have my air compressor right here as well. Plug it in, good to go. Just hook it up. And everything's just tied right into the bus bar or a circuit breaker. Now another thing that I know is that if I need to get to the back of the motorhome, so if I need to run any cables or wire or communication stuff to the back, I need to get it to this side of the RV. And I know that there's a plumbing vent that is right behind this wall. I could run it down there. And there's also another one in the bathroom. So here in the bathroom, behind this little corner wall, I can just remove this panel, and that gives me access to the plumbing vent. And if I were to, run a cable next to that plumbing vent, that goes all the way down here, and then I can get into the basement area of the motorhome and then go to the other side and to all different places around the tanks, and get all the way to the rear of the motorhome. I can also remove this wall here, and I've done that before, and it gives me access, just a small area down here on the bottom, to get behind that refrigerator as well. Then that leads to the area underneath the kitchen cabinets. Now to gain access to this vent pipe that's next to the shower here, I can get there through this vent here, just remove it. And there's also an intake vent here for the heater and all that stuff. So remove these panels and I can have access to that area. And another spot that gives me access to the basement area is this vent here. and this drawer. Yeah, there's a hole right down here that goes into the basement, and that connects to that. So like I said earlier, spend the time and really get familiar with your RV and figure out where all of the existing wiring goes and how to access those areas, because it'll make your wiring jobs a lot easier. And this has happened to me before many times, where you've run some cable and you've finished the job, and then you realize later that there was a better way to run that cable that you just didn't know about the first time, and probably a lot easier way. So avoid that and really spend the time up front. Now, if none of these options end up working for you, and you do find that you have to drill a new hole into the roof of your RV or camper or van, then go check out this video over here, and I'll show you how to do that properly and keep it waterproof and sealed up, and allow you to reuse it for multiple things. So go check that out, and I hope you found this helpful. If you have any more questions, drop them in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy.